Morning, fellow zombies. I am not alive. I am not awake. I am in between sleep. And the zombie of Roseman, California, the Weaver, John C. Yeah, it's that kind of a day. It's clocking in at 11:59 in the morning, p.m. to 12 a.m. in the morning, from May 31st, 2024 to June 1st, 2024. And I couldn't sleep. This morning I just checked something out on the YouTube just to see what the hell was going on besides the political crap. Something caught my eye on this one, and I had to try to do a little digging on this one. You ever heard of a country name? Not country, but a company or a project called Dear Moon, as in DEAR, as in the Dear John letter. But you're doing a Dear Moon thing. Well, apparently there was a Japanese investor out there who was trying to get co-venture going on with SpaceX. As soon as SpaceX had their ship ready for launching into space and actually able to have a crew in space, there's a Japanese billionaire named Maezawa, Yusaku Maezawa. He canceled, according to Reuters, his Dear Moon mission, which the project said to have been the first private flight around the moon. The team had originally aimed to make a circumlunar flight with celebrities on board by the end of last year, which was 2023, but that became unfeasible, the mission said in a statement on its website. Without a clear schedule, certainty in the near term, it is with a heavy heart that Mizawa made the unavoidable decision to cancel the project. To all supported the project and look forward to this endeavor, we sincerely appreciate it and apologize for this outcome. And they gave no indication of reasons why. Musk was supposed to helped out with him on this one. It was supposed to be private passengers going to do a lunar shot. And there was a lot of people paying into it. I guess they just lost their investment. But they also depended upon Musk and his ship to be ready. Well, apparently how slow it's been going for Musk right now, it's really been going slow for him. They haven't even got their ship off the ground. Actually, they lost one ship in space and they thought it was a success. No, I call that a mission failure. You lost your ship. It went somewhere, but you couldn't even track it. That's a mission failure. But they called it a mission success because it went up and didn't blow up. Fine, you did everything right that one time, you still lost the ship. It's still a mission failure. It's one thing having a ship blow up on a pad or blow up in the midair. But losing track of a ship, oh boy, that's mission failure. Even NASA wouldn't even do that one. But, they depended upon private contracting companies when they did the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. And these guys, fits and starts, they've never done anything like it before, so it had to learn on the fly. Much like SpaceX has to learn on the fly of how to get a ship going. But they got the Dragon, they got the Falcon, which does the low Earth rendezvous with the International Space Station. And the main stage, the first stage, is recoverable. Minor stage, not so much. So they have worked out that detail and still working on it. So they can do a low Earth orbit, just not to the point where they're going to be doing maybe 3 or 4 orbits possibly around the Earth and then come right back home. Going over a list of how many companies we've got going up there in space. I had to look at the Space Tourist Guidebook. I came across one particular company that I still haven't heard much, whether or not if they're still doing anything, and that's Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic was planning on sending some people up in near Earth orbit them around a few, come back down for a featherweight. Bezos Amazon Blue Origins goes up for a pop fly for about 10, 15, 20 seconds. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you're for a minute of weightlessness. And then get you back down to Earth with a parachute, and you're on dry land. Virgin Galactic, as I said before, they were working on this thing. They made the technology workable. But we haven't heard anything yet over the years whether or not if this is still working. Virgin Galactic, have they stalled on this one? Has there been anything else happening on it? I don't know. But Blue Origin's trying to get their thing going on. It's been about 3 or 4 shots they've already made, maybe a little bit more. SpaceX at least has reliability so far. I got to give it to, I had to say it, I have to give it to Musk in this one here. Because now we've got trained astronauts going to the International Space Station. We have scientists and engineers and flight crew going up there and coming back down. They have seats for 4. They can go up there and back, no problem. That's just a short term up and back. Not a long term orbiting, like maybe 3 or 4 orbits and coming right back to Earth. No, not necessarily. Now, here's the fun part. Boeing Starliner. In several hours from this date, in this time period, which is 12:07 in the morning, West Coast time, June 1st, 2024. Now, approximately, if I can get the damn screen working here, forgive my language here. Good Lord. About 9 hours and 20 some odd minutes. We're going to be seeing 2 crew that NASA has been working with Boeing to get a test shot over to the International Space Station. An alternative to SpaceX, just in case. NASA is still hoping to get the privatization, the commercialization actually, of space going. We haven't heard too much about any other companies out there ready to send up inflatable dolls or anything else up in that way. But we'll see what happens. Northrop Grumman. Well, they were supposed to be getting something up there, but we haven't seen anything yet. It's supposed to be with a ship called Cygnus. Supposed to be an orbital using different rockets, but we haven't seen anything. How about Sierra Space? Nope. Haven't seen anything about that one either. I'm going through Wikipedia trying to see whether or not, let's see. Dragon 2, okay, Dragon 2 is working. Orbital from Cygnus, retired. Well, they got screwed over, didn't they? Northrop Grumman, Cygnus, and re-enhanced. Well, trying to get it operational. And Sierra, information hadn't been updated yet. Cargo, well, let's see. I said before about Blue Origin. Still in developmental. Starliner, still going through the testing, but if 2 astronauts can go up to the space station in a ship without it blowing apart, or having any more leaks in the damn thing, we'll be fine on that one. And other things are still working with. So. Suborbitals, let me see what we got. Spaceship One. Well, basically, the Scaled Composite said, screw it. Their White Knight ship got retired. So basically, they're out of it. I was really hoping space that Skilled Composites would actually do it because there would have been something. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this bummed me out. So after they did their flights, they just retired the craft. So I guess about 10 years ago, they just decided on it. They never did get a license, but it would have been something. So they probably got it mothballed. I was hoping to see more of those flights out here. That would have been something to see. But not in my lifetime. Nope. I got to see the other. I got to see the other commercials. Trying to struggle like crazy trying to get going. Let's see. Spaceship Company. Still going through testing, they said. Spaceship 2. Well, let's see. Okay, well, the Spaceship Company, British American manufacturing company, founded by Burt Rutan, Richard Branson, Virgin Group. I guess they're still trying to get their ships going. As of yet, they're still trying to test the things out in another state, but definitely not Mojave anymore. So we'll see what happens. But definitely out of state of California, that's for sure. So the race is on to get commercialism going. Several other countries are trying to do the commercialism as well. There's a whole slew of them here. Whole listing of them. Light rockets to heavy rockets. Some in development, some canceled out, some in testing. But nothing major and nothing spectacular. It would have been something. It would have been something to see, like from the movie 2001 A Space Odyssey, when you actually had an aerospace company launching shuttles up in the sky to a still being built space station. A bi-ring floating space station in geosynchronous orbit and just rotating to a level where they're getting gravity for people. We have yet get the technology made for that one yet. It would have been nice to see, instead of people floating around, it would have been interesting to see a civilian or commercial satellite system trying to get the ship spin going on where there's enough centrifugal force to imitate gravity. That would have been something. Even in the movie of Space 2001, huge space station doing that. But also, there's ship Discovery that actually had that going on. They even do it. They even did it on other science fiction shows. One was the series of Babylon 5. The alien race has already developed gravtech technology, but some of the Earth vessels didn't have it unless they actually had a ship getting a rotating drum. And Babylon 5 Station was entirely a rotating drum where people were actually uh, you know, living under near Earth gravity. And that's way in the future, well beyond my own lifespan. But if they actually could get something tested up in space before I grow, I'd like to see something like that. Maybe that would have given us an opportunity to actually go out to the moon, but also go out to Mars and beyond. Space commercialism, the flight of fancy going around the moon and back. Yeah, that's a nice thought. And it still is a nice thought. It's still a dream, it's still a hope that maybe one day we'll actually get some commercialism going on. It's one thing trying to send some mannequins and a stuffed animal going around and coming right back home. But the other thing is, we already did it a long time ago with the Apollo program. It took us nearly 9 years, and a lot of companies, and billions of dollars in investments in a lot of companies, a lot of overtime, a lot of expenditures, but cost and blood as well, to get men to land on the moon, even for 4 or 5 missions. And make history. And make a statement that we were actually able to get a guy on the moon walking around a few times in a heavy-duty suit and come right back home. What they want to do is get a little bit of a semi-permanent or almost permanent base on the moon, and then see if they can actually get stuff necessary to gather the fuel necessary for a return trip. Which means they need to explore the moon even more heavily than they can. We've got sci-fi shows made a great deal in these. One series was Space 1999. And it was made by the British. And it was talking about an international space station, international moon base, Moonbase Alpha. And in the backstory, because of Earth went through a limited nuclear war, and the countries didn't want to go through that. They'd gone through too much bloodshed as it is, and they just wanted to do something in peace. So they were using their nuclear technology, nuclear engines, nuclear fission or fusion, to have spaceships fly between Earth and the Moon, or long-distance ships going to Venus, or even into deep space to another planet at near light velocities. A lot of fans fell in love with that one because of something we could have done. We said it was back in 1999 when this base was here and then blew itself out of Earth orbit because of nuclear waste having a fusion meltdown. So it blows the hole out of the moon, makes it into a rocket engine, and the moon just goes, and then Earth goes, ah! But the adventures were all about the moon base survivors, nothing about Earth, except one episode in season 2. And it's still a fan favorite to this day. But just the concept of a moon base. Even in 2001, A Space Odyssey, there was Clavius Base and a few other bases out there. Chinese had one, Russians had one, Americans had one. And when this book and the movie was made, it was back in the 60s. Assuming that we actually wanted to go back to the moon and still afford to do so, to make this project going on. I'll remember the movies more than I remember any kind of scientific inquiry, actually activity we got right now, because it's like, huh? We got deep space satellites, telescopes of sorts, looking at the universe freaking the scientists out because some of their notions have been tossed out. And now they got to start from scratch all over again. But what would freak us out at this point, not just for the amount of space junk we've got up there, a hell of a lot of satellites up there in the high Earth orbits. No. It would have been if we actually had space stations floating around. We could actually see. The International Space Station will come around every so often. If we're lucky enough and have an app to track the damn thing, we'll see it. It's very quick. You blink, you miss it. I tried a couple of times. Hard to catch. Hard to catch it. If I had the proper equipment, the cameras, I could probably capture an image of the thing. But there are images of that being floated around on the internet. Easy enough to capture that way. But to see the thing, oh, that's another thing altogether. It's big enough. It's big enough. And it's going to be a shame when she goes down, because we haven't got anything else planned. And the commercial guys are still fiddle-farting around. So we're still hoping for a spectacular Hail Mary passes going on. If the government's not going to be able to fund a thing, and they're already through budget budget crises right now as it is, we have to depend upon the kindness of billionaires to see whether or not we're actually going to continue the space shots or not, and whether or not it's going to be profitable to them and to their shareholders. So one thing about commercialism, they're always looking for the damn buck. We'll see if space is going to be profitable or not.